Sup flappers, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about something that is going to be becoming more and more relevant as we approach patch 2.2, because if you have been keeping up to date with how miHoYo is behaving on their social media platform, you would know that they are now teasing characters that are likely coming next patch one patch in advance, and this has been true for patch 2.0, patch 2.1, and now going into patch 2.2, the only new character that has been teased is Thoma. It's on their Twitter page, and now that has led many in the community to speculate, well, we have had multiple new character appearances. Is it time now for us to revisit some of these old characters? And I know that for the vast majority of the player base, we are looking for a rerun, a chance to pick up some of these powerhouses who had slipped through our fingers, or to pick up an extra copy of them here and there to get more value. And let me tell you something, some of these characters that are about to come up in patch 2.2 potentially can just straight up be the single best investment you make in this game. So with that said, the attentive ones of you have already noticed that on the right side here, my team already displays in order from top to bottom the 4 characters that are likely to be making an appearance in a rerun banner for patch 2.2. So without further ado, my name is Erotic Walrus. I'm going to be going through each of these characters and introducing you to them for those newer players, and also talking about their low constellation values if you are veterans and just want to know which one is going to be the best bang for your buck. I have made videos and guides on every single one of them, so if you guys are curious regarding that, you can go check those out as well as the time approaches. Now with that all said and done, let's get straight into the video, starting with albedo. Let's go into albedo right here. So albedo is a geo character, and currently I think he's one of those characters that just not many people have, and it's not because he's a bad character, it's just in his initial release he was sandwiched between 2 characters. I think the one that came before him was either Zhongli or Tartaglia, and the one that came after him was Ganyu, which at the time people didn't think was going to be OP, but you know, she's the waifu. So what ended up happening was albedo just kind of got ignored and passed up by a lot of people. Currently albedo serves as still one of the best support DPS characters in the entire game. He is working flawlessly with the vast majority of characters. The only time he doesn't really work, it's not because of the damage doesn't work, it's because of the synergy doesn't exist. So for example, when you pair him with somebody who does primarily anemo damage, you just don't get crystallized. Although nobody is specifically running albedo just to get crystallized. Oftentimes when you run albedo, it's either with a geo main DPS or it's with Zhongli support, which then you don't really need crystallize from albedo anyways, because geo main DPS, we have the geo MC, we have Noel, we have Ningguang, and all of these characters are more than capable of providing some sort of crystallize in their kits. So albedo currently, I would say, is a very solid A tier unit, and for those who already have albedo, his constellations are nothing to scoff at, but at the same time it's nothing too crazy as well. This character sits very mid to upper mid tier of the character spectrum, and so do his constellations. I would say his constellations are better than most of the characters, especially the older characters, but I really find it hard to recommend to pull for additional constellations of albedo, especially since him at constellation 1 gets the job done fairly well, and as you move up the constellation, it just gives you more damage and more spam ability at the end of the day, especially for his lower constellation. And to be quite honest, I don't think you need to be pouring so much power into albedo, as some of these other characters that I'm about to talk about can straight up take your game from level 1 grunt to level 99 mafia boss. Okay, with all that said, let's move into the second character, and that's gonna be Ganyu. Now I think this is a character very few people are unfamiliar with. Everyone knows how OP Ganyu is, how much power is loaded behind her entire kit, and this is one of the few characters I want to mention right now that her entire kit is utilized to the max. It's just Nothing about her is bad. Every aspect of her is doing something, whether she's on the field, whether she's off the field. The only time she's not doing something is if you don't have her, right? So with that said, let's introduce her very briefly. So she's a cryo bow character, and she functions primarily around charge attacks. So for people who think that is kind of weird, it's all right. I can't really utilize her charge attack very well either, so I oftentimes play Ganyu as a support DPS or just a straight up support using her elemental skill and her burst, and very rarely using her charge attack. And still, even then, Ganyu is easily one of the top performers that I have in my entire character archive. And let me tell you, I have every single character. Ganyu is without a doubt top 3 in my entire collection. I love her design, I love her kit, and I love the amount of influence that she has over the game. Now, with that said, let's move into constellations. And here is where I think I'm probably going to be going in pretty damn hard for Ganyu, because in order to make this character even more enjoyable, yes, she does become really powerful as you level up her constellations. Her constellation 1 being one of the best value constellations in the entire game. I think this is not the first time I've said this, but I just don't see people talk about this enough. They kind of brush over Ganyu as this broken character that, hey, she's broken, let's move on. But let me tell you, constellation 1 for Ganyu is one of the best value bang for your buck you can get in the game, as well as her constellation 2 is a great tool not only for application purposes, as well as just making her even more easier to manage. Constellation 4 for Ganyu just makes her a more potent support, as well as just dealing more damage overall. Now remember, Ganyu is one of, if not the only character in the game that can have a 100% ult uptime. What that means is you can literally have her shower down icicle sticks forever. It can just never end if you choose it, and this constellation can make that even more of a nightmare for your enemies. And of course, the C6. Who can forget C6, where you literally take Ganyu, a lethal sniper, and turn her into an in-your-face shotgun who fires sniper and tank bullets at the enemies. It's crazy good. Every single one of her constellation has insane value, and I think she is currently, if we're talking about constellation, the perfect constellation character, because everything adds something to her kit that is of great value instead of just random boosts to their kits like most other characters. Moving into Xiao, I think this character is loved for a very good reason. He is very capable currently. He out DPS most of the characters in the entire game, even until now, and him being an emo is just a slight icing on the cake. There's a reason why he's regarded as one of the Liyue big 3. We have Ganyu, we got Xiao, and we got Hutao. Now for Xiao's constellations, it's not bad, but honestly, when compared to Ganyu just now, his constellations do fall quite a bit in priority here. Getting a C0 Xiao already guarantees that you're going to be doing a ton of damage, and his C1 and C2 does not increase his damage whatsoever. His C4 is kind of like a big slap in your face, and finally his C6 is the one that changes his entire kit. Like he's not even Xiao anymore. Might as well just call him something else, right? That's why it's called Conqueror of Evil Guardian Yaksha. His name just changes to Guardian Yaksha. It's crazy, but it's C6. This should be something more like C4, I would say C2, and give C6 something else. It's just his entire kit leading up to C6 is very, very bad, and then his C6 is just game changing. So if you have the money to burn, you can go for that. But Xiao is Xiao. He is a top tier DPS unit that focus mostly around his burst skill and AoE. He does a lot of AoE damage. You do not want to use his character when he's not in his burst state. You could to swap to him just to use his elemental skill, dash, get some energy particles, switch out. You really want to primarily stay on him when he is in his burst state, because otherwise he's likely going to reduce your team's damage per second, especially with the artifacts you'll be running for him, which is focused around anemo damage for his burst skill. All right, with that said, we're going into Hutao, the girl who cremated my love for all the other characters. Currently, I just love Hutao's playstyle. It's very simple, straightforward, linear. However, I do have to remind you guys that her at C0 is very limited. A lot of the times you see people playing Hutao, it's just dash, and dash canceling is very easy to do if you have Constellation 1. Yes, Hutao is a pyro polearm user who focuses around a single combo string, which is just auto dash, just one auto and dash. And of course you can use auto dash, but the thing about Hutao is if you don't have her at Constellation 1, you have more hassle to play this character because you have to deal with stamina management. If you don't concern yourself with stamina when you're running a C0 hutao, she is simply just going to be gated both for her mobility and of course her damage. Yes, this is one of those characters that I simply suggest you to get C1 if you want to enjoy her to the fullest, because unlike a lot of characters such as Ganyu, Xiao, their C6 is revolutionary. Ganyu goes from a tank, a sniper from range straight up to a shotgun user, and Xiao turns from xiao of Liyue straight to guardian yaksha, right? Hutao goes from hutao to Wangxin funeral parlor director at C1. All right, so that's the difference here. So what is her C1? Her C1 is when she is using her elemental skills, her charge attacks do not consume stamina. It's so simple, yet this is so effective. It makes her miles more enjoyable to play. And get this, her Constellation 2 is not even that good comparatively to her Constellation 1. And it's not even until Constellation 6 where once again Hu Tao gains a new gimmicky way to play her. But like, let's be honest, this Constellation is really just icing on top of not the cake, but the icing. This is the icing on top of the cake. So if you guys notice something, for these characters, Ganyu seems to be this well all-rounded character that you can't go wrong no matter what. You want to go C2 Ganyu? Sure, no problem. You want to go C4? Sure, no problem. You want to just get one? Sure, no problem. But for someone like Xiao, if you already have one of him, then unless you're going for C6, I really don't suggest you go too hard into his constellations. Maybe focus on rounding out the rest of your team, then coming back to Xiao and getting some constellations. But if you have a C0 Xiao, stick with C0 Xiao. Your money or your primo gems can be better used elsewhere. If you have hutao or you don't have hutao, going for a C0 hutao sure is nice, but it sure cannot beat getting a C0 Ganyu or C0 Xiao. But if you have hutao already and you enjoy her so much, get Constellation 1 and stop right there. That's the best value for your buck. And if you have all of these characters and you're wondering, hey, is albedo worth it? Should I even give him a chance? You definitely should. Think about it like this. All three of these characters can work well with albedo, with the exception to Xiao with having no crystallized reaction available because they're a Nemo and Geo. They just don't have reactions together. But nonetheless, get albedo if you think your team is lacking a solid support DPS or straight up a support. I've ran albedo in the support position. I ran him with Xingqiu. Get this, Xingqiu, albedo, Fischl can all stack their support DPS capability to power charge one main DPS. I've showcased this before. It's insanely broken and a lot of fun to play. All right, everybody. With that said, that concludes my rerun overview. I hope this helped you guys to make a better decision going forward, depending on what character is going to come back. All right, as we approach patch 2.2, if we get more news of what's going to be coming and the banners that'll be coming, I'll be making more specific videos dedicated to each of these characters and maybe likely updating some of their build guides if it requires it. With that said, I know this has been a long video. Thank you guys for watching until the end. So until next time, I urge you all to stay safe and peace.